Hi everyone, thank you for coming this morning. I'm Steph Robertson from Curtin University's Faculty of Health Sciences. I'm just going to talk to you today just a little bit about Perth, about WA, and then of course about Curtin and some of our fantastic health courses. So who are we? We're an innovative global university. We have a number of campuses worldwide, and we're known for our high impact research, our very strong partnerships, which are very evident within our health courses, and a commitment to preparing our students for the jobs of the future. So some things about Perth. For those of you that don't know, we are in Western Australia. So that's on the west coast, or the best coast, as I would say, of Australia. Some of the things that a lot of our students like to do or like to see during orientation week or before their studies really start to commence are just listed here. We have a number of fantastic national parks around WA. Kings Park is actually one of the biggest parks within a city worldwide. We've got our Perth Zoo, a water park, Whitman Park, where you can meet lots of native animals like the ones pictured here. The rooftop cinemas, Elizabeth Quay. So you can see just in the top left corner, that's some of the new infrastructure that's been placed into the city. And there's lots of shopping, food, really just it's a good place for Instagram photos. Just outside of the city, about a 20-30 minute drive, we have the Swan Valley, lots of food. The Margaret River Chocolate Company is also located up there. Plenty of wineries for those that like to drink wine, and I would say WA has some fantastic wine available if you're into that. We've also got our Perth beaches, beautiful white sand beaches, as well as the port area. So Fremantle, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner there, which is it's an older part of the city, so part of when we were first colonised. So there's a lot of older buildings, a lot of heritage listed areas there. Lots of walks and nature trails, Lesmurdy Falls, Bells Rapids, Billaman Track as well, which is a huge hiking track, but you can do portions of it, so you don't have to take a full month to do the track. And then, of course, as is discussed, Fremantle, lots of fantastic coffee shops, prison tours. So as I was saying before, it's a heritage listed area. So with Australia being colonised and used as a penal colony, there's the prison there that has a lot of interesting history about it as well. Fremantle is probably also well known for its art and culture district. So there's lots of different things going on there in terms of the arts. The weather. So I get a lot of questions about this because obviously Australia is hot. I believe Canada also had a hot day today. But so during through December to February in the summer, we normally get it can get even hotter than 30. I would say we're being quite generous there. I would prepare for up to 40. We do get a couple of 40-degree days, but I would say no lower than 17 degrees during the summer. And to be honest, it's normally around the 20s. March to May, a little bit hot, cooler. That's where we are now. We're starting to get a bit cold. So I'm wearing a blanket right now, but to be honest, I'd say something you should prepare for that's different from Canada is that our houses aren't as insulated as they are in Canada for obvious reasons. We don't get the snow you do. So just be prepared that in winter it may actually seem a bit colder to you just because the houses aren't made to keep in the heat. They're meant to keep it out. So it can be a little bit colder. So don't throw away all your jackets when you come here. So why study in Perth? We were one of the top places to go by the New York Times in 2019. We've been rated highly as one of the safest places in the world. We're also one of the world's healthiest and sunniest cities. We are the sunniest capital city within Australia. Full-time students at Curtin actually receive a 40% discount on all public transport. That's sponsored by the state government, so you do save quite a bit of money there. If you're not planning to purchase a car, definitely you can get around on public transport, and it's a lot cheaper than some of the other cities. We are one of the most affordable capital cities. If you are studying a master's degree, which I will just talk about today, or you're interested in research, international students that study in Western Australia can actually access free public schooling for their children if they have kids of school age. We've also implemented last year the graduate stream for migration purposes, and we have quite a number of ASX listed companies. So, whilst we might be deemed quite remote in terms of Australia and access to other Australian cities, we do have a lot of companies that are located here and use this as their base within Australia because of our proximity to Asia. Just a quick photo. So this is something new that was, I think it was open last year or the year before. So Campus Perth, they have 3,600 beds in the CBD, so Central Business District area, for student accommodation. Beautiful rooftop bar. We often go there. And it's just a really nice few buildings for the students that weren't there previously. It's made for students, so you will be meeting students from other campuses as well. But yeah, just something to think about when you're looking about accommodation. So on to Curtin and our campus. So this area here pictured is probably the centre of the university. We've got a lot of common areas though. Our facilities staff do a fantastic job of making all areas of the university really accessible and really nice to just sit and study if you want to be outside. Also very colourful, as you can see. We have a stadium. So the Curtin Stadium is located on campus and includes a gym. There's sports courts, so tennis, basketball, and a couple of, I think there's a squash, sorry, not a squash court, a beach volleyball court. We also have a lot of group fitness as well there. In terms of health, on campus, you'll have access to a GP. There's also a wellness centre, counselling and disability services on campus. There's banks, multiple ATMs for different branches and different banks. So, depending on who you choose to go with, you should have access to a banking facility on campus. Multicultural campus. So we're obviously quite an international campus. We recognise that there's people from all different faiths. So we have a number of multi-faith prayer and meditation facilities available for students as well. Our library, it's accessible and safe access 24 hours a day. So if you do need to cram late at night, you're more than welcome to stay in the library. And there's also meeting rooms available there, lots of group rooms, different kind of spaces for you depending on what kind of study you're trying to do. We have some retail outlets, including a travel agency, a bookshop, print services as well if you need them. Alternatively, you can go to the library if it's just simple print. We are a smoke-free university campus, and we also have free Wi-Fi across the whole campus. And I would say it's pretty good quality. I haven't had any issues with it while I've been working all over the place on the campus. Just quickly, international scholarships, they're pre-assessed for when you apply. So we will assess you at the point of application. You don't need to make a separate application for these. And these provide up to 25% discount off your first year's tuition fees. Typically ends up being worth about $8,000 to $9,000 depending on your course. We also offer able to facilitate various tuition payments if you're paying through your Canadian provincial authority. So if you're paying through OSAP or anything like that, our fees department do have relationships with them, so it can help facilitate that, make it easier if you need. And if you are interested in any other scholarships, I'd recommend you just go to the link below. They also have some details about research scholarships if you are interested in that. So some of the benefits, so while you saw Campus Perth, we do have a lot of student accommodation on campus. So some of the benefits just to living on campus or next to campus. So obviously it's very close, so you don't need to travel too far, and you can make your way to class just by walking. We've also got access to the gym, so students that have are staying on campus actually have discounted access to the gym as well. There's a shopping centre right nearby, basically across the road from our campus, so you'll have access to that as well, where you can buy your groceries. Obviously, as I was saying before, very safe, very secure. We have CCTV located throughout the campus housing, and as well the housing areas and the campus itself are patrolled by a safer community team. They offer 24/7 assistance. So which is something really nice. We have an app that you can put on, and it will alert security if you have any concerns, or you are afraid of anything. They'll come straight to you. Alternatively, something that I take advantage of in winter when it's a little bit darker at night leaving work, they can also escort you to your car. Not to say that it's not safe, but sometimes it's nicer to just get a lift to the car. Some of the car parks can be a little bit further away than just next to the buildings. Obviously, you'll make a lot more friends easier if you don't have those support systems in Perth. So if you are on campus accommodation, they do a lot of social activities that you can join in and make new friends. Pricing there's available there for housing if you are interested. And our housing team can also help you find off-campus accommodation. So if you arrive in Perth, you're looking to rent a room or a place, they can actually assist you in helping you through that process. And lastly, so this is just a little bit about some of the renovations or changes that are actually happening to our campus at the moment, which is really exciting. So our Robertson Library is being renovated to transition from what we call collection to connection. So something that we can obviously recognise is everything is going online nowadays. You don't need books as much anymore. So we're using the library space more for group collaboration work, for study, quiet study as well, rather than just books. Of course, they'll be there, but a lot more of the space now is being used actually for students to be there, not just the books. There's also a few flexible teaching spaces, and we are introducing a student kitchen within the library, which will be nice if you are staying up overnight to study within there. We've also got our exchange precinct, which is very much on the way. One of the buildings is popped up basically over the past few months before our eyes. So part of this precinct will have a new student accommodation, which will have over 1,000 beds. We'll have a hotel and some apartments on campus, a new home for our School of DBE. There's a new bus interchange, so that was already that was opened up last year. So now we have 2 bus kind of centres, I guess, available on campus on either side of the campus. So again, it's just making Curtin a little bit more accessible for everyone to get to and from. We have, we're planning to have grocery and specialty retail stores, as well as just more beautiful public spaces for all of us to enjoy. So on to the main attraction, the Faculty of Health Sciences. So our Faculty of Health Sciences is one of the largest and most comprehensive health schools within Australia. We educate more health professionals than any other WA tertiary institution. Our courses are accredited nationally, and many of them are actually recognised internationally as well. With our programs having strong industry links, we hope to provide graduates that are job ready, highly regarded, and of course, most importantly, highly sought after by healthcare institutions. And we were ranked in the top 10 nationally for clinical and preclinical health study in 2019. Something that we offer that's really special at Curtin is our Go Global program. So this provides students with an opportunity to undertake their one of their clinical placements or clinical fieldwork placements at one of our partner sites in Asia. Obviously, in a COVID world, it's been cancelled this year, but we hope to be able to start offering this again once things subside a little. We have students that have undertaken placements in Cambodia, China, India, and Vietnam. And so that just gives our students an opportunity to see different healthcare systems and how they work, from working within perhaps an orphanage and, you know, providing back to communities, to perhaps working in some really state-of-the-art hospitals within China as well, just to give a different perspective to the Australian healthcare system. So our graduate entry masters. What is a graduate entry masters? Graduate entry masters, or what we call them as GEM degrees, are basically fast-track degrees to become a registered professional within that field. They give you the opportunity to hone, redirect, or reimagine your career goals. So they're made for students that perhaps don't have the specific bachelor degree that allows them to register that within that field, but have the relevant prerequisites in their original bachelor degree to go on to these master degrees and then register as professionals. They're diverse learning experiences, so students will have experiences with an avatar and clinical simulation to more practical hands-on fieldwork. So we're trying to encourage our students, you know, to be very comfortable within a fieldwork setting before they even leave the campus. Just some of the things you need to be aware of. So screening and registration for all of these courses that I'll talk about shortly, they do require a number of screening and registration requirements. This is all not required to be provided until after you've arrived. So don't worry too much, it's just to make you aware. So some of the things you might need to apply for once you arrive in Australia: criminal record, some clinical health screening. So you will need to undergo screening for vaccination and do a serology check just to make sure you have immunity to some of the diseases that you might come into contact with before you begin your placement. We also have something called a working with children check. So if you are working, or should I say studying within a fieldwork placement in one of the areas that works with children between the ages of 0 to 17, you will need to apply for this. This can take a few weeks, so just be aware of that. They'll tell you all this during orientation, but it's all just to make you aware of that as well. So, our first graduate entry masters, a Master of Nursing Practice. This degree is 2.5 years, and 2 years, I should say. And once on graduation, students can apply to the Australian Nursing and Midwifery Accreditation Council. So our nursing course was actually ranked 11th nationally in the world rankings this year. Part of the degree is you will complete 216 hours of simulated experience and 840 hours of professional practical experience. And that would be in a variety of settings. So might not just be in a hospital, it could be in an aged care facility, could be within mental health or community settings, as well as different areas of the hospital, such as medical, surgical, or one of the special like oncology or pediatrics. One thing, so 216 hours of simulated experience, that takes place in a fantastic, absolutely fantastic clinical simulated hospital ward. It actually replicates one of the newer hospitals that is here in Western Australia, Fiona Stanley, and we have rooms that mimic acute medical and surgical areas, critical care area, paediatric area, and then just the general simulation room. So you can see a picture to the left here of just one of the rooms. All the equipment that is included within the rooms is real. It's used within the hospital. So again, it's just making sure that you're comfortable with that equipment before you even go out on your placement. Students in their final semester of this degree will also have the opportunity to design a research project as well within that clinical setting. So I won't go too much into detail about the entry requirements. Com consultants can help you navigate that, but I would just specify that if you aren't Canadian and haven't studied in Canada for over 6 years, you may need to sit an IELTS or TOEFL or PTE test to meet those English requirements. This is a new requirement by the ANMAC, or Australian Nursing and Midwifery Board of Australia Council. So they do require that. But again, if you are Canadian, it's likely you've already met that through your schooling. Secondly, so onto our Master of Occupational Therapy. This is accredited by the Occupational Therapy Board of Australia and also recognised by the World Federation of OT. Oh, the slide seems to have kind of condensed a little there. Apologies. So our graduate entry masters is recognised by the World Federation. So it does allow you to actually practice in Europe, United States and Canada. You may need to sit an exam. So I'm not going to go too much into detail, but just know that the degree is recognised. We have some excellent learning resources within the OT program. So we have purpose-built areas for our occupational therapy students, because we are actually the largest school of OT within Australia. So we've got some fantastic areas within the OT building, resource rooms, learning spaces, a special student library that's focused on the areas, so OT, speech and social work within this school, as well as some more, I guess, resource areas. So they, you're actually looking to the left is one of the areas we've set up a room that looks like a home kitchen, living room, bathroom, as well as a workspace as well. So students can practice dealing with either their fellow student or a paid actor, or of course, in some occasions, actual clients or patients within those settings to become comfortable before moving out of the classroom. A number of our staff have actually won faculty and university teaching awards from this course. So just recognise the fantastic contributions they provide to the students. Again, just going on those entry requirements, you do need to have a bachelor degree, but to be honest, you only need to have studied a human biology unit within your tertiary studies to be considered. So you don't need to have done a health degree or anything before that. Just have that human biology unit. You used to have to provide psychology, but thankfully we've scaled that back, and you only need to provide human biology. We can actually provide a list of online units if you are really interested in this degree, and you can study that human biology unit online before you commence if that's something you haven't studied previously. And I'll just note that on each of the slides here, I have pulled some details from Jobs Bank in Canada that talks about the kind of opportunity outlook for this field within the various different provinces. So that's all available there for you if you need. Good is the highest they've ranked, then fair, and then limited. So I've only provided good and fair there just for your knowledge, so you know what kind of opportunities are out there in each of the provinces in Canada. Our new course, the Master of Social Work. So graduates of this provisionally accredited course will be eligible for membership with the AASW on completion. We're actually the leading provider of social work in Western Australia and the only university offering a bachelor and a master degree program within social work in WA. Part of the drawcard of this degree is that we take a really relational approach to teaching because we are very highly regarded for this area and this field within Western Australia. We have some fantastic connections within WA itself, really strong industry connections, but also just going back to that teaching, it's very relational. it's about self-reflection based learning. So there is a lot of reflection involved, be aware of that. And gives you the opportunity to study with a variety of different vulnerable people, or those within the violence and abuse setting as well. Sorry. The course also provides a capstone unit, so you'll actually kind of explore what your professional identity will look like, the ethics around social work, and that all just, culminates in ensuring that you have a better transition into the workforce. Again, going back to the OT building, there are also social work spaces within there. So we've got counselling suites that have recording and review technology enabled for students to use. Students interested in this course do need to have a specific kind of bachelor degree. So we call them communication-based degrees. So areas such as psychology, social sciences, health, or nursing would be relevant. Anthropology, sociology would also be okay as well. But so nothing like accounting or engineering probably wouldn't work either. Okay, onto the Master of Speech Pathology. This is accredited by Speech Pathology Australia, and we recently just slightly altered this course to actually start in January of each year instead of February. Students do need to have a bachelor degree and have studied that human biology unit, just like Master of OT. But again, we have those approved human biology online units. So if you are interested in this course, we can obviously provide you that list if you don't have that human biology component. We're the only university in WA offering a master's degree program in speech pathology. We have access to some fantastic equipment, and one of those very special equipment is, you can see it in the left of the slide. So we have or utilize technology, avatar technology, when working with our speech students. So one of our professors in the School of, or the discipline of speech pathology, actually worked with some US universities to create this avatar that's actually been used across different courses now. So just there on the left, that's Jim. He's an avatar used by speech students, computer simulation technology to basically, again, make students really comfortable with how they deal with patients before they go into a more clinical setting in their fieldwork placements. So Jim can be quite grumpy. He has a wife, I believe her name is Margaret as well, but it also helps students just get used to an Australian accent. So some of them can be quite thick. So again, it's just making students more comfortable and aware with how to interact with a patient. And that's all controlled through the technology there, but he is very responsive. So students will obviously have that clinical simulation with Jim and with actors as well, but they also have an opportunity to do their fieldwork placement. So students will actually do 735 hours of clinical placements within their second year. So of a 2-year course, it's a big bulk of your course in the second year is actually you will be out on practicum or fieldwork placements. And that will be in, again, a variety of different settings. However, we're quite lucky through our clinic on Curtin's campus. We do have an adult clinic and a stuttering clinic for speech pathology. So that's run by our final year students. So again, be aware, you might even just be able to do your fieldwork placements on our campus, but we also try and send you across a variety of different campuses. Sorry, not campuses, clinics. So you will maybe working within a hospital or perhaps in a private practice as well. Something that's becoming quite common in Australia as well is speech pathology within schools. So you may even be placed within a school to do consultations there. I would say the speechies, as we call them, or the speech discipline, they're very close knit. A lot of the staff are actually also have, their own practices outside of the campus. So they're all very accomplished within their field. They may also be doing research as well within a variety of different areas, asphagia, stroke, stroke rehabilitation as well. So just, you're really in good hands with the speech pathology area. Master of Pharmacy. So this is accredited by the Australian Pharmacy Council. The degree is recognised worldwide. Again, however, you may have to do some additional training. If you are planning to register overseas, and I would recommend you speak with your accrediting or registration body before making any decisions to make sure you're aware of what's required to register if you return home. So this is, as a graduate entry master's, it is a fast track option to become a pharmacist for those that already hold a bachelor degree. I would say that it's really important with the bachelor degree, there is quite a high number of prerequisite units required. They're not really things that you can study online. So you have to have studied maths, stats, chem, biochem, and physiology. So it really lends itself to students that have more of a biomedical health-related bachelor degree rather than from perhaps different areas as well. So this course provides a great stepping stone to registration in other countries throughout Asia. We have some fantastic, again, facilities available on campus. So students will have access to our model dispensary. So we actually have what we call the model pharmacy. It looks like a real pharmacy, retail pharmacy, I should say. But part of this model pharmacy has the robotic dispensing unit, which is something that I believe only one other university in Australia has as part of their training on campus. These units are actually a huge amount of money to have, so it's quite an investment for the university to provide this to students, but it just means that they're, again, goes back to that simulation, they're going to be so much more comfortable when you go out on your placement because you'll have used the technology before. I would say most retail pharmacies won't have these, but hospital pharmacies absolutely would have these dispensing units. They're meant to eliminate loss or shrinkage of stock when dispensing medicines. We also have the manufacturing lab and a contemporary compounding facility for those students when you are making medicine or pills, lotions, those kind of things as part of the degree. And then you can see here to the left, this is the special pharmacy space that's actually utilised as part of the model pharmacy. As a student, you'll have your own office, basically, or this desk. It has a scanning unit, a prescription printing facility as well, and all of the technology required when you're a pharmacist to use on the computer. So again, just making sure you're comfortable with all of that before you do go out in your placement, of which you'll do 12 weeks of field work. So you'll do just in the first year, just 41 hours, so just over a week, probably spread about 2 weeks, and then you'll do 375 hours in your second year. Something that our pharmacy grads are really lucky to have, they have a really high employment rate within Australia. I believe last year there was a 98% employment rate 3 months after graduation. Now, this can be attributed through to the registration requirements within Australia. So within Australia, once you've done a pharmacy degree, you do need to do 1 year paid internship. So it's a supervised placement basically, but you are paid, so which is why so many of the students are employed. Lots of pharmacists are very keen to have those students working with them. So it is paid, but it is something you would need to facilitate for yourself. So you will need to find the placement or the opportunity to do your supervised year yourself. That's something post graduation. But once you've done that degree, you'll sit an exam, and then you can register as a pharmacist within Australia. Lastly, our Doctor of Physiotherapy. This is accredited by the Australian Physiotherapy Council and approved by the Physiotherapy Board of Australia. So graduates will be eligible to register and practice as a physiotherapist within Australia on graduation. So this course recently replaced our previous Master of Physiotherapy course. It's an extended 3-year master level degree. So it's professional entry, but with the titling of Doctor of Physiotherapy, we are the least expensive version or offering of this course within Australia. It's quite a small cohort. I believe there's only 36 students in a year, so you're going to have a fantastic interaction one-to-one with your teachers, a lot so more than the bachelor degree. And you will complete 1,000 hours of clinical placement as part of this. So part of the reason we changed it is for obvious, for titling. With the titling change from a master to a doctor, it's allowing students the option to register in other countries such as the US. And I believe it will also allow registration in Canada as well. Another reason for it, so previously the course was 2.5 years and it was very, very cramped. I'll show you after this exactly how cramped, but it's just providing students the opportunity to have a bit more study break. So previously students were only provided a 2-week study break over about 2.5 years, which is quite challenging for students to operate on. So we've recognized that, kind of pulled the course out a bit more to provide a little bit more room. And it also gives students the opportunity to undertake international clinical placements via our Go Global or Physiotherapy Abroad program. I would say we have set up clinical placements for students back home in Canada, and we've also set them up in various other areas like Singapore and Hong Kong as well. So if that is something you're interested in, we can certainly try and help you facilitate that as well as part of the degree. So with this course, it has a slightly different application process from the other courses. It's not just apply and then be assessed and receive an offer within typically 1 to 2 weeks. With the Doctor of Physiotherapy, you will need to make an application before August. So the end of August is when applications close. You need to have studied a bachelor degree within a health or science-based discipline, with what we say at least a 70 course weighted average. So I won't convert it into GPA because I know in Canada there's various different GPA systems, but if you are interested, I'm certainly happy to provide that GPA conversion to you. Students need to have studied a musculoskeletal anatomy, a research method unit, and a human biology unit as part of their bachelor degree. We can sometimes allow students to do an online unit within human biology or research if they're already studying it. But with the musculoskeletal anatomy, it must have been done face-to-face or as part of your course, because we do need you to have wet lab experience before you're considered for entry into this course. So if you have those items, you can apply before August, a complete application. I would say don't apply any later than early August because we want to make sure your application's finalized and complete before that cutoff date at the end. Once that's been submitted, we will then assess all the applications in September. And we do provide, I think traditionally we try and give you an answer between mid to late September, whether you're eligible or not, because the way we work is we actually, because there's only 36 places, we do have to rank the students. So it's only offered to the top 36 students within that, those that applied. So there's no guarantee for entry, but we give the below entry requirements as guidance, so you know how eligible you will be. And then you do need to let us know by about October whether you're accepting or not, because you do start very early in January. So as I was saying before, Yeah. So this is the previous course structure. You can see how the 2.5 years are quite packed in, whereas now with the change to the doctor, we've managed to spread it out. There's less study periods that you have to contend with, which just means you have more breaks after each semester to relax a little and enjoy a bit more of Perth. And that is it from me today. I'll just make a little comment as well. I know you're probably all thinking with COVID-19 what's occurring. So all of the courses I've mentioned here today are actually within a January or semester next year. So they're not open for intake this year. In terms of what we're currently doing in semester 2 this year, we are opening our campus up for semester 2, but for only those that are onshore, obviously. Currently, the Australian border is closed for international arrivals. But for students that are interested, we are offering online content for a number of courses, not the ones I've suggested here, but other courses. So within our business, science and engineering, humanities faculty, we do have a few other health courses that are being offered online as well. So if you are interested in that, get in touch with KOM consultants and they'll be able to help you along with that process. But other than that, for next year, we are hoping, cross fingers, that the Australian border will be open and students will be able to commence in January. If for some reason or if, COVID-19 is still developing, still ongoing, we will review that come later in the year. So I don't have any answers on what will happen for 2021 at this point, but I would just let you know that it's something we'll definitely work with all of our students on to try and facilitate any online learning if for some reason they are not able to get onshore within that point. And I can see we've got a few students in here now. So did any of you have any questions? All right. Well, on that point, I hope you have a fantastic evening. I heard Ontario was quite warm today, so I'm sure you're probably suffering a little bit. Oh, thank you. Thanks very much, Victor. I'm sure you're probably suffering a little bit. But, are there quotas? So there aren't any quotas, Sue, for the other programs apart from the Doctor of Physio. We have the rest of the programs apart from nursing don't have a specific quota. We just need to report our numbers. So they do have a deadline, typically around November, that we need to know whether students will be accepting or not. And we would recommend you have let us know by November anyway if the course is starting within January, because you need to apply for your visa. And we like to give you about 6 weeks lead time on that visa application. The programs that have a July intake, so that's the Master of Nursing practice, that will hopefully be available next July as well. The Master of Nursing practice for this year is open, but predominantly only to onshore students at this point. And of course, yes, contact KOM consultants if you need any assistance, because they'll know that they're in touch with us quite frequently about that. Other than that, if you do have any questions, feel free to just contact that email below and they'll be able to help you. Thank you so much for all of your time this evening. I hope you have a fantastic evening and hopefully we'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye.